hot wings, hot topics, and real estate. Host Ryan Spellerberg keeps it real with agents, investors, and insiders every month. No fluff, just good convo exploring the trends, challenges, and questions shaping today's market. Now, here's your host with over 20 years of lending experience, Ryan Spellerberg.
They're on fire. Hey everybody, Ryan Spellerberg, mortgage guy here with another episode of Hot Topics. This is going to be a fun and a different one than we've ever done here. So, Zach, we've got Zach Hefty here. Why don't you get after your first wing? Thanks to our sponsor, Atomic Wings. They do a fantastic job. Zach said he's great at heat, so shouldn't have any problems whatsoever. So today's guest grew up in one of the most well-known ag families in South Dakota. And if you've spent any time around farming, you already know the Hefty name. Zach Hefty is an agronomist and works in communications at Hefty Seed out of Baltic, South Dakota. Zach, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on. These wings are good.
I know, they're fantastic. They're nice and easy to eat, and everybody gets a little warm stomach when they leave. Okay, so not everybody that is watching this is a farm nerd like I am and knows who you are and who your family is. So maybe give us a brief history of Hefty Farms and your family and how they got into ag.
Yeah, so I'm a fifth generation farmer technically, and so my dad and uncle basically run our farm at this point, just north of Sioux Falls, a small town in Baltic, South Dakota, just outside of there. My grandpa came here from Iowa, moved up to South Dakota. That's where him and my grandma, who both unfortunately passed away now, were living, and that's where her family was from Baltic. So that's how they kind of had the family farmish around there.
What time frame is this?
So this would be, they came here 1968.
Okay.
I think is when they like officially moved here around that time, 1968, 1969. My dad was born in 68, so he was young, obviously,
Very
when
young,
he was
yeah.
born.
Yep.
And he's the oldest of the three kids. So yeah, then they started there, and that's kind of the start of the farm, I guess. But there's a lot more to the story than just the farm now, too, as you mentioned.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
So then Hefty Seed Company. So that would be like crop protection seed retailer that we run and own as our family. That started technically, I think, in 69. When he came back, it was kind of an interesting story. So he was farming in Iowa, and I'll just eat as we're going,
Get after. We're pretty relaxed here.
So in 1969, he was farming up here, but they didn't have the same products they used down in Iowa. So he went down and grabbed them, brought them up here, and was selling them to farmers around the area because those are the stuff that worked good for him down there.
Sure,
So he wanted to do it here. And so then that kind of started, I think it was called like Hefty Farm Supply, out of his garage.
Why wouldn't it be?
And so that's where it started, and it kind of built up from there. And now it's, I think, around 50 retail locations across mainly the Midwest.
I don't think anybody knows that, for the most part, that you guys are that large in the agronomy space. That's fantastic to have you guys so local, offering. And again, I'm a farm nerd. I get it. I'm sorry. This is fun stuff for me. But to be able to offer that locally with that much expertise is fantastic.
Yeah, and the whole goal is just basically to help farmers make more money and teach them agronomy and help with the agronomy side of things and help them do more themselves on their farm. And so that's kind of what Hefty Seed Company does.
Yeah, and everybody is probably wondering, why would we have a Hefty on here? Because farming is real estate. I mean, that's what it is. That's where it comes from. So, okay, next one is nice and easy. This one's just Nashville dry rub. It's got a little pepper flavor to it. It's fantastic. So maybe here's a little of the background research I did on you, but it sounds like early you were torn between a future in art and a future in farming. And by art, I mean maybe there was a green Sharpie involved, and some body art. Was that correct?
She might have been talking to my mom there. She likes to bring up this story.
Maybe?
When I don't even know how old
I don't
was.
give my sources out.
I had to have been very, very young. And she told me, I guess I got away from her in the house and used markers and I guess turned myself into the Hulk or something like that, apparently. That's what I heard. I think there's pictures of it somewhere, but I'm not sure.
I'm guessing it was an affiliation with John Deere, maybe an early sponsorship.
Could have been.
To cover
Could have been
that color.
Yeah.
That's probably where I'd go as a family farm guy.
Yeah, that must have been it. Yeah, it must have been those early deals like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
see, he was just planning for future endorsements. Hopefully there's a picture of that out there somewhere. I hope your mom has a picture of that somewhere. Not that I give up your mom as that source. That could have come from anywhere. How's the second one?
This one's good. It's not as much heat as even the first one, honestly.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's
just
easy. Yeah.
This is super easy. You would eat this every day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm gonna push you on to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Next one is hot buffalo. This is where again it gets just a little bit toastier for you.
Mhm.
So I grew up on a farm, and nobody believes me when I say that, but I did, and I did some really dumb stuff. What's the craziest farm story that you got from Hefty Brothers? Like, I mean, my dad had a brand new 95 Dodge Ram, brand new, and I ripped the bumper right off of it, getting a buddy out of a ditch once, like stuff like that.
Yeah. Honestly, you're putting me on the spot there. I don't have like one that I'm just thinking of off the top of my head. But now these wings are starting to get hotter for sure.
So it's double hard when you can't think of it and you got the heat coming
That's
on.
correct. Yeah, I would say they have some stories that they've talked about, but they kind of I feel like they talk about some of those stories, but then at the same time they don't talk about all of the stories of the crazy things that happen. But I'm sure there's a few where absolutely got on the field when it's way too early and just completely stuck a piece of equipment into the ground so bad where we're taking multiple other pieces of equipment to try to pull it out. I would say that's not the craziest because that happens, I feel like, a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not a good situation at all.
I'm going to call my dad out because he got a combine stuck next to a slough. That was like 2 years ago, and he did the cardinal no-go. He put the auger side to the slough. So what do we have to do? We have to dump the whole load of corn out into the slough to try and get the weight off the combine. Had I done that, I would not be here today. Like, he would have killed me if I would have done that. But as long as it's my dad, it's okay.
Yeah, I would say for me personally, so when we were younger, we didn't get to run all the farm equipment just because of safety matters and,
Sure.
it's big equipment.
Yep.
But when I got older, a couple times, I wouldn't like to admit this, a few times where you're running the grain cart, you might have dumped a little bit too much onto the truck, and it might have overflowed a little bit into the field, and then you got to scoop it all up.
Yeah.
And get it back in because you don't want it just sitting out there.
Correct.
So that has happened. Not a highlight moment for sure.
Well, it's either that or you leave the hopper bottom open and you just dump it
Yeah.
straight through, and then you blame the trucker on it
Yeah.
because it's their fault. There's so many good accidents. My brother used to just most of the implements would be in road gear when he put it in the ground so he could get done faster. I mean, it was just that was my brother. He wanted to get done and he moved pretty quick.
Yeah, and we got a lot of this footage too on the Egg PhD side, which we haven't even really mentioned yet either, which is another part of it.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it. So this is where it starts to get a little warmer. You look like you're doing all right.
Yeah.
Fish.
So it's getting there for
Okay.
sure. I can only imagine what we're gonna get to at the end.
It gets easier from here, so you'll be
Oh.
fine. Next one is mango habanero. It's a little sweeter actually, so I think you'll be okay when you get into it. But so I mean, I don't think a lot of people realize how tied to real estate farming is. I mean, that's the basis of it. At its core, farming is a land business. So what's your family's philosophy been over the years when it comes to land? Because most people don't realize this, but a piece of land comes available next to your house or near your farm, and you might have one opportunity in your lifetime to be able to buy that land. It just doesn't come up very often. So what have you guys done over the year as a family farm?
Yeah, it's really interesting concept because it doesn't change hands very often. And I just swallowed some hot, and it's really burning the mouth right now or the throat. But so for us, it's hard for things to come up for sale around us. It may happen once in a lifetime. So getting that when you can is kind of a big deal. But also paying the amount that it's very expensive to pay that amount too. So you're kind of looking into that factor as well. But if it's close to our farm, there's a lot of factors that kind of go into it, but you might only have one chance to get it. So you kind of have to act fast on it as well.
Yeah.
And kind of what our philosophy has been is we've been renting ground a lot when we're around our area that we can, and then buying it eventually if we have the opportunity to. But we try to work out long-term deals with our whoever we're renting it from so we can try to build up that soil fertility, put in drain tile, make that ground uh, worth more. But then we in turn will then ask the renter, we'll pay more in return to build up this ground. And then eventually we just work with that relationship. And then hopefully we might get a chance to buy some ground too.
Which is so weird. Think of this. If I own a rental property and the tenant came to me and said, hey, I want to improve your property. And by doing that, I'm going to pay you more to be able to use that same rental property. It doesn't work that way in normal real estate, but it does in farming because you build up the soil and the minerals and the fertilizer to be able to produce more. So you as a farmer make more. It's just very different than the normal real estate world.
Yeah, and it seems weird when you go to someone and you're like, yeah, I want to pay more money, but it just helps our crops so much more. So we have healthier crops and less disease and more yield.
Yeah.
And so we're making more money, which means that we can afford to pay more money too on the backside. Now, we don't want to pay that much, but it's a way that we can help that whoever's the rentee or help them help us, because they might pay for some of the fertilizer or some of the dirt work or things that need to be done.
Or tile.
Yeah,
Or,
in turn for us paying them more. So it gives them a benefit to actually putting more money into the ground and making it worth more too. So
it's just a very different part of the real estate industry. You just don't see that in the rest of the world. So
yeah,
it's fun to hear. But again, most of the time, you're never going to see that piece of ground come available in your lifetime. So you got to act on it. And
No.
sometimes you have to overpay. And it's weird because sometimes then your neighbors get mad because you paid more than they did. And it can become drama too.
Yeah, and it's a big thing with the renting too, because if someone else is renting it, but then they don't want to pay for that ground at the time that it comes up, well, then they might be selling it to someone else, which could be us or someone else, and then they don't get to rent that ground anymore because someone else bought it. But there's not a lot of changing of hands in the farm ground.
Right.
Like our ground specifically, once we buy it, or at least my dad has said, once we buy it, he doesn't want to ever sell in his lifetime. Unless he absolutely had to for some reason, but he's not trying to.
Yeah.
That's not the goal.
That was my dad's goal. Never sell dirt. So it makes sense.
Yeah. It's hard to get, and you basically need it if you want to keep farming too, or at least have access to it in some shape or form.
Yeah. And for our family farm, the next generation behind my brother, our nephew, probably never going to farm that land. So he's not going to have that emotional tie to it, but he's going to own it. So that's the hard part is, will he keep it or will he look at it as an asset to sell? But you also don't want to tie him to having to own that land if he has other needs for it.
Yeah, and that's the same thing when it switches hands into maybe some kids and stuff like that. That's when things might happen, might change.
It's usually when it does.
Yeah. So you never know when things are gonna happen like that, or stuff's gonna come available at some point.
All right, you ready for the next one?
Not really.
This one is atomic. This is where it starts to get a little bit toasty. And we had a good coffee beforehand, so I got to learn a little bit more about you. But so you bought your first piece of ground last year. It is a scary experience to put that much cash out and have that bad a rate of return on something. Like, what was going through your mind? Why'd you make that decision to buy your first piece of ground?
Well, I remember this specifically because my dad had texted me and he said we got offered to, basically asked if we wanted to buy some ground. Him, not me specifically. And he's like, there's a smaller piece of ground I think you should buy. And if you're not going to buy it, well, I'll buy it. But I want to give you the opportunity if you want to buy it and basically get included now into our farm. Because what he always has told me is that he wanted his dad to push him to buy more farm ground, or him and his brother to buy more farm ground when they're younger, because it's always going to be expensive and it always doesn't always make sense.
Never cash flows. Never cash flows. But it will eventually.
And as he's bought in ground when he was younger and now it's worth a lot more, well, that it's appreciating. Unlike a lot of other things that you might buy out there where it's not appreciating, farm ground is, and we farm, so we can use it for other things too. And no, it doesn't make sense financially right now. Eventually, it will help, and it'll be cool to have that asset and be able to be included into the farm now.
Yeah, I told you this story, but my dad talked me out of spending $500 an acre for ground that's worth 8 right now because it would never cash flow, and it's making $250 a year annual income.
Yeah.
Should have done it. You just never. Sometimes you just got to go for it in the farm world, and just don't overextend yourself, obviously. But
Yeah.
that's exciting that you were able to get your first piece of ground at how old?
24.
That's awesome.
Yeah, if you're able to do it and not spend too much. Now, this is at the very border of too much, but it's right in the amount where I could get it and not burden myself too much.
Well, as you said, it probably is a negative cash flow for you for a while, but long term, that's going to be a great asset for you. And this is kind of why I wanted to bring on the show, just having somebody young starting in this, because it is a real estate business. It really starts with that.
Yeah,
You
it's
doing all
hot.
right?
I'm doing okay. It's definitely hot,
Good.
but yeah, I'm excited for it. It's something I have purchased a house before, but that's a lot different than farm ground. And farm ground's very expensive, but it also is a long-term asset that hopefully we'll have for a long time and be able to farm it for a while and build up the ground and make it worth more.
Yeah. As is a home, long-term investment, great deal, but you got to live somewhere. Sometimes you shouldn't look at that as an asset for you because it's not returning an investment, but it's someplace to live. But
Yeah.
farmland is a long-term investment.
Mhm.
Okay. Last one is nuclear. This one, the rule is you have to eat the entire last wing. So
This is gonna be bad.
you're going to do just fine.
My mouth's on fire.
It is aggressive at this point.
Okay,
I'm with you
one
too. It's warm for me too.
You're the one that's used to all these wings.
I know. But
Not that they're not good.
they're great.
They're just hot.
They are. You'll love it. Okay, so you get after that. So your family was one of the earliest adapters in media in the ag world. Ag PhD started back in 1998. I was 2 years out of high school with your dad and your uncle. So as you come into the business, how do you see your media strategy changing? Is it doing crazy stuff like this? But you're changing your guys' business and how you do it. What's the plan?
Yeah.
You can keep working on that too.
I'll get into that. It's I'm taking a break from the heat.
'Kay.
It's getting there.
Okay.
But my perspective on it, so they hit the big medias first. They're on TV, they're on radio. Now it's like the opposite way. You're starting on social media, then you're growing into those things. So they kind of did the opposite approach. So when they started, that's what you did. Was TV and radio.
Yep.
And so I like to bring in the younger generation doing more things on social media specifically because people seeing you more, they're able to look at those longer form pieces of content and just being out there and doing some more different things. So like this, for example, or going to different shows, traveling around, doing different things that maybe they did back in the day. But now they're even more busy and there was less social media, obviously, back then, not even really existent when it started. And now it's just really changed the game on how we can grow and how we can reach more people and teach more agronomy and teach what we're doing on the farm to more people across the U.S. and the world, too, really. And it's just been really fun to figure out what can actually move the needle, where we can grow. Specifically, I've been focused more on social media, but also just marketing in general. And it's been a cool experience and something that they've allowed me to kind of grow with since it wasn't too big of a thing that on the radar of things that they were doing first off, because now that's like the starting 1 point. Well, they've already been 10 steps ahead of that
Right.
for a long time. So for them, it's like we're going to really step all the way down. But it was a great way to share the brand and grow it.
I will say though, like the Ag PhD is designed for the actual farmer, the person that wants education on it, because they go deep into the process and education. Social media is typically a much more broad drive. And that's how I found you. You know, I saw your stuff online, thought it was fantastic. Thought you'd want to come on here and burn your mouth off and have some fun. But, you know, you're gonna appeal to a much broader market than your dad and uncle do because they are so dialed in that the average person isn't going to want to know about the pH level on this particular piece of ground. They're going to want to know more about farming.
Yeah.
That's what you're driving.
Yeah. The big thing, farmers are just a lot misrepresented out there because there's only 1% of people are 1 or 2% of people are farmers. So there's a very, very minority base of people that actually do that. So showcasing that on social media and showing what farmers are actually doing is kind of a big deal. Now they target just farmers that are actually farming.
Yeah.
But on social media, it could be anyone.
I think Millennial Farmers are a great example of that. Larson Farms, all those guys. What's that podcast? The Barn Talk.
Yeah.
I mean, a little bit more aggressive conversations that they have, but stuff like that just get the average person into ag and have them understand a little bit more about it. And Millennial Farmer will talk about soil erosion and things like that the farmers are actually working actively to try and stop that, versus everybody thinks we just use as much chemicals as we can and drive as much profit as you can. That's not farming today. It can't be.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest misunderstandings too of just farming in general. We're not trying to overdo things or ruin the ground or anything like that because, well, that's the biggest asset that we have. And the more money that we spend messing up things, we're going to have to spend more money fixing them. And we're going to then get less yield, which is less profit coming to us. So ideally, we don't do anything and we just plant seed and harvest it. And then we get to go because we are spending way less and still making the amount. So we're trying to do as little as we can, do the best job, and make the most yield.
Yeah. It's selfish on the profit side, but it's still good for the land itself. So
yeah, land first.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what the soil needs. That's one of the biggest things that we talk about now. We're talking about real estate here. Now, farming, the soil is the real estate and also what can help make the profit too. So it's kind of an interesting way to think about it because it's not a house or something really physical. I mean, it's out there, but there's nothing on it. There's stuff inside of it that's really changing it.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
How you doing? I think you've gotten through the worst of it. So
yeah, it's getting better. It's getting better.
Good. Well, okay. So what's coming up next for you? How do people get a hold of you? How do they follow you? How does the people that watch this stay in touch with you?
Yeah. So on my social medias, I just go by my name, Zach Hefty, Zach.Hefty. But on Egg PhD, I feature on there sometimes with my dad and uncle. So you can check us out there, Egg PhD Media. And the Egg PhD is a TV show and radio show. So it's a new live show every single week on TV and on Acres TV, which is a free streaming platform that it's on. And then the radio show's on Sirius XM every single day. And you can just, wherever you go to watch podcasts or listen to podcasts, so Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you can check it out there. But what's next for me? Probably continue to do what I've been doing. Keep trying to grow on social media and try to learn as much as I can because that's my goal. Is I really enjoy agronomy, learning as much agronomy as I can, learning how to farm better, learning what my dad and uncle have been doing for the past 30 years, and just keep trying to grow in all my knowledge that I have and try to meet new people like you.
It's amazing that you're able to get all of that out with your mouth absolutely on fire. I can tell your lips look like they're burnt at this point.
Yeah, they are. But the wings are good. But the mouth and throat is on fire.
Got it. Well, thanks for coming, Zach. I really appreciate it. It was fun. It was fun getting to know you just from the selfish farming style. So I really appreciate you coming. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Follow Zach. He's got a great career ahead of him. So thanks for coming, man.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right.